How are you doing today? I wanted to do another video kind of back into my normal style. What we have today is a Mont Blanc Meisterstück 136. And I believe this one is probably around 1937 or 1938. This is one I picked up used, but I had to do some additional work to it. I wasn't really happy with where it was at, and kind of got it to where I'm going to leave it. I don't know if I'll ever have any more work done on it. They're just, they're pretty fragile. They are usable, but not really the kind of pen I like taking outside the house. So just some background information, like I usually do, on the Mont Blanc 136, the Meisterstück. The 136 was first introduced in 1937, along with the 134. And I'll kind of go through some of the parts. So prior to the war, the first series of pens would have the long ink window. And this one does. I do have ink in the pen, so it's going to be kind of hard to see. But you will be able to see probably like a gray area. Ends about right there is the ink window, how far it goes. Would have a hard rubber cap top, which this one does. See it right there, very different sheen after all the years. And then also the filling knot would be hard rubber as well. You can see that right there, the 136 on it, but you can definitely see from that sheen there, definitely hard rubber. And then so with the series of the, when this came out, the 1 would indicate the top of the line, the Meisterstück. The 3 would mean the piston filler. In this case, it would be the telescopic piston. I won't be able to demonstrate that, like I said, because I do have ink in the pen. They are a little finicky. There is a little bit of a trick to using them. When you do extend them, you do need to extend them all the way and almost put a pressure or a load on them before you retract it again to bring the ink, or else it will not retract all the way. And then the 6 would indicate the Mont Blanc size 6 nib. And because this is a pre-war one, you will see that it is gold. It's a two-tone. And the only information on the nib would be the 4810, which is the height of Mont Blanc in meters, and then the M on the nib as well. But that is gold towards the tip. And there you got your flat ebonite feed. Alright, let's see if I can get some light going here. Let me grab a flashlight here. Try and show you some of the ink window. Hopefully that is showing up. That is what the striped ink window would look like. Like I said, it does extend all the way back. You can probably see the color difference right there better, but when you have good condition stripes, as this pen does, that is what they'll look like. Alright. The 1-3 series, which includes the 132 through the 139, was produced until about 1952. The hard rubber you see on this pen would have been similar up until about 1947, and then after that the pens would have gone to an all celluloid. So the cap top and the piston knob would be switched over to celluloid at that time. And then the long ink window switched to the short ink window about 1943. Like I said, gold nibs were used to about 1941, and then during the war they would switch to palladium initially and then to steel from about 1942 to 1945, or the end of the war. The gold nibs then came back out in 1947. They will have different markings on them. They'll have more information than these have on them. One thing you'll also see is that the pens made during the war would not have a gold band. This one obviously does. It has the single band down low, the famous tie clip, and also during the war and after the war you'll see a mix of clips as well. But this one is the correct clip for the pre-war. Once again, after the war, then they would have gone back to putting bands as well. And there's all different varieties. See some with 3 bands, was pretty common after the war. And then, like I said, those would be then called the transitional models, and those began in 1947 when production began again after the war. If the pen says Meisterstück on it, which this one does, fortunately it's in the hard rubber. You can barely make out the letters there. But that would indicate that this pen was made for a German-speaking country. You can also see that the star is Cason. They do crack, but this one has stayed intact. So that's what a Cason Montblanc's snow cap would look like. If you see a pen, you see this after the war, it has masterpiece written on it. That would have been made for an English country, an English-speaking country. You also see after the war they go to a shorter top cap. This is once again the longer cap top there. And like I said, you'll see different clips. You'll see some that have what's called a teardrop clip. That was also very common during the war. After the war and at the end of the war, you do see a large mixture of parts. So you have to do some investigation when you're looking at this 1-3 series. So with that information, like I said, this pen appears to be a very early pre-war model. Only has the 4.810 and the M in the snowflake on the gold nib. It's got the flat feed. It's got the hard rubber top cap and the hard rubber piston mechanism. It has the long top cap with the case and star, the long ink window, and then one nice thing is as long as they're not worn away, you will see the nib size, which is a fine on this one, and then you'll also see the model number, 136. Like I said, it also has the tie clip, and then these bands are a raised profile, so you can see there is a profile to the clip there. They're not just flat. Alright, so I'll do a quick writing sample. This is a fine nib, and I have it filled with Waterman Blue Black. It's what I use in my vintage pens most of the time. So it is a flexible nib. It's not a wet noodle, but it is flexible. So So this is Waterman. So you can see it writes extremely well. It's probably one of my best fine nibs I've ever written with. Flow is adequate, never skips, and I'll just give you some idea. So just a normal no pressure line. I'm putting some pressure. I'll try and do this more so you can see the camera. You do get a wide line. I'm barely putting any pressure on the pen. So let's do one of the ones with no weight going through the middle here. So there's your line variation you can get. Give you an idea of normal writing. So if like doing a capital S, you get some nice line variation. Probably one of probably one of my most collectible pens in my collection. They're not the most expensive. The 138s, the 139s, I think they're a little crazy in their prices, but they are a little more rare. This pen just writes so well. Got nice bounce to the nib. Nice and responsive. These old pens just seem to write completely different than modern pens. See, it's just nice even line there. No issues ever keeping up, and just pen I like to use using quite a bit. Let's give you one more look at the pen. And the cap. And once again, we'll try and get that ink window again. There you can see, actually now you can see the whole ink window. So that's how long the whole ink window is. So with the cap on it, you can see how much ink you have in the pen. Just a really cool design, beautiful pen. Alright, and that does it. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.